Hello everybody. It is the beginning of March and I am getting ready to sow spinach in my Ohio garden. Today's video will be a basic tutorial on how to grow one of the season's most popular greens, spinach, from seed to harvest. So let's jump in. Spinach is an extremely cold hardy crop, which will grow well in the spring and fall in most regions, as well as through the winter in climates with mild winters. Spinach can be direct sown as soon as the soil has warmed to 40 degrees Fahrenheit in the spring, or about 8 to 10 weeks before your last spring frost date, depending on your growing location. Spinach can be sown even earlier by using a cold frame. Spinach can also be sown for a fall crop. It typically works best to plant seed in August or September as the day length begins to decrease in late summer. The optimal soil temperature for germination is 45 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. But spinach seed can germinate at soil temperatures as low as 35. Spinach seed germination will drop off drastically in warmer soils, those that are above 75 degrees Fahrenheit. To direct sow spinach, plant seed approximately half an inch deep and 1 inch apart in rows 8 to 12 inches apart. Spinach can also be broadcast sown in patches and thinned. Be sure to keep your soil consistently moist until the seed has germinated. When your seedlings have 2 to 4 true leaves, thin them to approximately 2 to 6 inches apart, as spacing which is too close can cause premature bolting. It's not necessary to thin if you're growing for baby leaf spinach. To thin, snip seedlings off at soil level to avoid root disruption of surrounding seedlings. Now, a note here on spacing. You may notice that most growing guides and seed packets recommend similar type spacing for all vegetables, in that they recommend that you sow the seed pretty tight and then thin to proper spacing. If you're the frugal type or just short on seed, this can seem like an annoying waste of seed. This type of spacing is typically given to ensure a good stand, to compensate for less than optimal germination or any seedling loss. If it feels wasteful to you, which I totally understand, we've got a couple of options. The first is to just wait a bit longer to thin the seedlings. Instead of thinning at 1 to 2 inches tall, just wait till your spinach is around 4 inches tall. That way it can be harvested and used as baby greens, which are fantastic in salads. A second option is to simply sow at the wider spacing to begin with. And then if you end up with any blank spots where seeds didn't germinate, go back in and re-sow. Doing this gives you a nice kind of a succession planting by default because you'll end up with a slightly staggered harvest. And our third option is to plant transplants or pre-germinate the seed. This ensures that we have a viable seed or seedling in each planting spot. So if you'd like to opt for transplanting spinach, early season spinach can be started from seed indoors about 4 weeks before your desired transplant date. To start spinach indoors, sow your seed 1/4 to 1/2 inch deep in seed starting medium and lightly cover the seeds. Moisten your medium and keep evenly moist as seedlings are growing. Seeds should germinate in about 7 to 10 days at temperatures of around 60 degrees Fahrenheit. You can begin fertilizing with a plant food formulated for seedlings once they are about 1 inch tall. Seedlings can be transplanted in about 4 weeks or after they have 2 to 4 sets of true leaves. You'll want to harden off your seedlings before transplanting. Hardening off is a process of slowly acclimating tender seedlings to outdoor conditions. Bring your seedling flats outdoors and place them in a protected spot, gradually increasing the time seedlings spend outdoors over the course of several days to a week. When you're ready to transplant seedlings, space them at about 4 to 6 inches apart. Again, if you're growing for baby leaf spinach, you can space them more closely. Remember that properly acclimated spinach seedlings will tolerate temperature dips as low as 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, but the optimal growing temperature for spinach is 50 to 65 degrees. Temperatures consistently above 70 to 80 will cause spinach to become bitter and bolt. Spinach is also day length sensitive and will typically begin bolting when day length reaches over 12 hours, regardless of temperatures. Spinach grows best in cool, loose, fertile soil that is high in organic matter and has good drainage. It is happiest growing in soil with a pH of 6.5 to 7.5. Spinach is sensitive to acidic soil and grows poorly at a pH below 6. It is important to maintain consistent soil moisture as plants grow. I highly recommend mulching the soil around plants to help retain moisture and keep the soil cool. Spinach will grow in full sun to partial shade. Plants will benefit from being covered with a shade cloth when temperatures reach 70 degrees or higher. If possible, I find that it's optimal when spinach gets full sun exposure early in the season and then receives some shade, especially from the afternoon sun as it nears maturity. Spinach is a moderate feeder and may benefit from the application of either a balanced fertilizer or a fertilizer which is slightly higher in nitrogen. However, be careful not to over-fertilize with nitrogen and only use supplemental fertilizer if leaves look pale instead of being a rich, deep green. Spinach can be fertilized at the time of transplant or after seedlings have emerged and are several inches tall. Spinach is shallow-rooted and requires consistent moisture to prevent bolting. Aim for 1 to 1.5 inches of water per week. Harvest time will depend on the variety of spinach you've planted, but average maturity is 40 to 55 days. To harvest, cut the entire plant off at ground level or harvest the largest leaves from the outside of the plants, allowing the center of the plant to keep growing for an extended harvest. Spinach can be harvested at baby leaf stage or left to grow to full size. So that covers the basics of growing spinach from seed to harvest. In the next video, I'll share some tips for troubleshooting common spinach problems, as well as some advice for growing spinach in the Midwest and similar areas. So be sure to subscribe to my channel, Growfully with Jenna, so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.